All right, in this video, I'll talk about Maestro and introduce Maestro. Maestro allows you to run background agents that can handle issues, requests of your customers, yourself, or your team, and so on. It's something that I was experimenting with a lot, and it started with OpenAI Symfony. But OpenAI Symfony runs actually on Codex, so I decided to build it with OpenCode, which I think is more flexible than Codex, and created Maestro. I'll briefly mention how it works and the architecture of it, and then we will go to the I mean the real world example or pet example of how it works. When in this case it's a pet example of how it works. Basically we have a snake game, right? It doesn't have much features, and we will request or create issues of those features and see how the agent system works on the background, right? All right, so how it works. So we have basically issue poll, right? And we got the orchestrator loop that keeps looking at the issue poll and pulls the issues if there is, and creates a work tree of your project, and basically spawns the plan agent, spawns the plan agent session. And then plan agent, as the name suggests, creates a plan, execute agent executes it, verify agent verifies the execution. It could just actually reject it with a fixed feedback, right? And this could be just like improvement loop, right? If it verifies it, we pick it up, right? We inspect it, we run the game, and if it's a game, right, we can run the game and we can test it ourselves and see what needs improvement and so on. If it's good, we can actually just merge it. If it's bad, we can reject it with a feedback, and that leads us to actually an execution with the feedback. That's how it works on a very simplified manner. There are retry logic, there are a lot of things going on. We will actually touch on that a little bit here as well. But on a very simplified manner, this is how it works. And the architecture side, we got, I don't have any web UI or any UI of that sort. It works only with terminal. You register issues in terminal. You initialize the, let's say, all the config files and details of all of that we will see actually in a moment in terminal. And we got on the core side, we got the orchestrator, pipeline, agent, and diagnostics. I mean, orchestrator is basically pulling the issues, passing it to agents, spawning the agents in the different sessions, and so on. It handles that part. We got the pipeline, the agent's logic, the plan agent, the execution agent, the verification agent, and so on. Obviously, for the agents to work, for that pipeline to work, you need the harness, which we are using OpenCode. And for that to work, you need a server, right? You need to send requests to the server and get it back and so on. That's what happens here. And the diagnostic side keep the persistent run records, right? Throughout the sessions. And here we got the config workflow.md, which we will see in a moment. That basically decide how many background agents that we want to run, which OpenCode profile that we want to run, which actually creates a lot of flexibilities that you can run different agents with different skills, with different permissions, and so on. And we have the tracker, which basically allows you to inspect what your agents does. And the workspace manager, you could say, creates the workspaces and manages all that. All right, so that was about that. So let's actually go to the snake game and see how simple it is. All right, so we'll basically follow up this manual that I created for this video. We have 3 files, right? Very simple snake game that we just saw. This project doesn't have any Git, so we will actually start from there. Let's get in it. And let's actually git add, git commit as well. All right, so we have created, we don't have any changes in the project folder. Here, I have actually this initial as an alias, which kind of directs to the project itself, which will allow us to initialize the files and folders that we need for this to work. And they gave us basically this main folder that we can inspect things, right? And we have the workflow.md file that allows us to write the details. We can basically make a lot of changes here, change the prompt, the way that we define. We can define another variable, and so on. I'll create three background agents. I'll save that. Let's actually continue. Okay, let's actually add these two changes as well, because we don't want to. These are just like, you have to keep these maybe dot git ignore as well. Maybe we can actually do that. Let's actually do that. It does already do that, but we don't have to commit them, right? Okay, that's good. Let's only commit the git ignore. Okay, we're good. All right, so let's now register issues, right? And this is how we register issues with the create parameter. And in this case, we basically saying that score counter, right? We want to see this score. That doesn't exist yet. Okay, we'll just copy paste that. What that did is basically created the boards, right, with the issues, and we have the issue itself. All right, let's actually see how it looks like with this. And we see that it's actually registered. Let's actually register other issues as well. Okay, issue third. And these are like game over screen. After we die, we want to have a game over screen. And this is like improving visuals, right? So let's see actually how does the list look like. Okay, so far we're good. We're doing pretty well. Here I'm kind of like giving instructions for adding the Maestro, but we didn't want to commit that. All right, so now we're ready to actually run the background agents. Let's see actually how it works. Okay, we created agents. As you can see, it already picked up them and started working on them, which is perfect, which is what we want to see. And you might ask, where does it create the work trees? We will take a look at that as well. For that, I will create a new window. Basically creates work trees under .worktrees folder. Here you can see the three work trees. Now it does only planning, right? We don't see the any changes, but we'll start seeing changes. Okay, it does the planning. Now actually the second one has started to executing. Okay, we'll actually wait a little bit here. We might take a look at the second one. If it did any execution, it hasn't done yet. This was the game over one. So let's see actually what it did. Oh, okay, the third one started working on stuff. Oh, the second one as well. Okay, let me see if they pass to. They both, three of them are in the execution. Okay, the third one got into verification. Okay. We also see the token usage, you can see. Okay, so actually leave to human review now. The third one, let's actually review that. What does the work look like? It did some changes. Let's actually inspect the changes. Okay, created some clear canvas about drawing the snake. It did some improvements in terms of canvas and this the way that snake looks. And it created this linear gradients. Let's see how that works. How that looks like. Okay, so kind of like created this chest look like for, which could be just something like we want, or we could just change it, right? We could reject that. But it did something. You can also see the gradients as the snake grows. Okay, so I mean, we're not really at the moment trying to. I mean, I'm using, by the way, DeepSeek's new model V4 Flash. It did all right. I mean, it looks a little Arcadian, like theme, right? A little bit, the color gradients and so on. All right, so I'm okay. Like, we didn't really give like a good instruction prompt or anything like that, right? Okay, so I'm pretty satisfied with that. Okay, let's actually see. First of all, here. Okay, they all finished. Perfect. We can inspect them. Okay, this was a score. Okay, it now shows a score, which is perfect. The second one was about game over screen, right? Let's see if that's game over. Okay, it does. It even added like space for restarting the game. We didn't ask that, but it did it. Which could be a bad thing anyway. It's good. Look at the moment it looks good because we didn't have it, right? But depending on what you want, it could be bad as well. But that's not the point here. The point is we have the agents that can run in the background that has a verification system. You might ask, oh, okay, like what kind of prompts did you use? Well, we can actually inspect the profile, but before that, what I want to do is actually reject one of them and see how that looks like, right? So we saw that the score actually looked on the left side, right? I might be like, you know what? The game design that I want is on the right. And I'm trying to look for the rejection syntax. Okay, we will do this. Reject CB1, right? With the message. The score should be on the right top corner. Okay, very simple. What? What was that? We said broad. Okay, so that was weird. I think that what kind of try to. I think they should work. Okay, we registered that. I mean, we kind of like gave the feedback. Let's see if it will pick it up here. Okay, it started picking up. In execution, it must be in execution. Okay, perfect. So it picked it up in execution because with the feedback that we gave, the execution agent now, he already completed. The verification agent also got the feedback we gave because it's a simple syntax, a simple task, right? Let's see, actually, okay, it verified as well. Let's see how that looks like now, if it did a good job or not. It did a good job. Okay, perfect. As you can see, we have a system that can improve itself, that we can use it in our workflow, in our repositories, which looks good to me, you know. It can be improved, obviously. I'm not claiming here, this is the big deal. There are a lot of people that I can imagine that runs these. Recently I saw Symfony, actual OpenAI Symfony. We can take a look at that. Also, it's something not there. I think that they're gonna ship this as well to their product, but that's not the point of this video now. We're talking about Maestro. As you can see, now what we can do is, if you go to the main repository, I can just inspect the branches, right? Git branch. What I can do is just git merge, right? So one of them. Okay. Couldn't we merge that? Put it up to date. Okay.